Um, what are your thoughts on the FBI's manipulation of journalists, reporters, script writers in Hollywood, and the TV shows and movies to discredit the Nation of Islam? The second part to that question, basically, in parentheses, Malcolm X, Godfather of Harlem, and who killed Malcolm X, etc.
Okay, well, I already talked a little bit about some stuff. We will get deep into a minute in a minute because I just did a big expose on the Godfather of Harlem. But going all the way back to when after Malcolm was killed in '65, James Baldwin, he wrote a screenplay for the autobiography based on the autobiography of Malcolm X. But then he was asked to change some things in his screenplay, and he would not do it. So then he disowned it because he said, "I'm not going to change it."
That's right.
All right. Now, Louis Lomax, as I mentioned before, he did a screenplay for Malcolm X. But the government got in, and they got rid of him in 1970. So the movie was never done. Neither one of them were never done. Then later on, Spike Lee does a movie called Malcolm X in 1992. However, there's some striking disparities and outright lies. And the question is, why did he lie? For instance, in the movie Malcolm X, Malcolm had a vision of Elijah Muhammad visiting him in his jail cell. However, that is not what happened in the autobiography of Malcolm X. In the autobiography of Malcolm X, and I quote on page 192 of the autobiography of Malcolm X, quote, "I would later come to believe that my prevision was of Master W.D. Farad, the Messiah, the one whom Elijah Muhammad said had appointed him, Elijah Muhammad, as his last messenger to the black people of North America." Now, the picture that he saw when he got out of jail and visited the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's home, he saw the picture of Master Farad Muhammad. And when he saw that picture, that's why he said, "I would later to come to believe that my prevision was of Master W.D. Farad, the Messiah."
Wow.
Why did they take that out?
Wow.
Change that in the movie. Why did they show a picture of Master Farad Muhammad? Well, they couldn't show a picture of Master Farad Muhammad because the only picture they have is a picture that looks like a white man, like a white Arab. Well, if Malcolm saw in jail in 1952 or 1950, he saw in jail a vision, and that vision was of a white man, a white Muslim, white Arab-looking Muslim, then why would he be so surprised to find out that there are white Muslims in 1964 when he actually saw it in 1952 in his jail cell? So they couldn't show that because they showed that picture of Master Farad Muhammad of a white Arab in his jail cell. Then later on when he says he don't know about no white folk being in Muslims, then what about Master Farad Muhammad? Now what's interesting about that, we know that Master Farad Muhammad's father was black.
That's right.
He went up to Caucasus Mountain and got a white woman, cleaned her up, and had a child so that he could pass.
That's right. Well,
He passed so well, we got Negroes now claiming that we following a white man. So that was a good Mission Impossible. That was a good Mission Impossible.
Yes, sir.
That Master Farad Muhammad's father, Alfonso, made a man
That's right.
look like a white man. Did not put a mask on him.
That's right.
Okay, no plastic surgery. He made a man that looked white, that was able to come in amongst white people and black people. Till today, Negroes, Afrocentric Negroes, the black conscious community is still pointing at us, say, "Y'all following a white man." We did a good damn job. Oh, praise is due to Allah.
It reminds me, you go down into Louisiana
Yeah,
and you see some of the Creole
Yeah.
people down there. You can't tell.
yeah.
So-
So you can tell. Put some music on,
Yes, sir.
huh? Put some music on.
That's
if,
facts.
if you put some
Facts.
music on and they can dance to the rhythm, they black.
That's facts.
That's facts.
That's facts.
Okay? If you put music on and they be stumbling around and can't even clap hands at the right note, the right beat, they white. That's all you can tell. Now, also in the movie, Malcolm claimed that Elijah had lied to him about the existence of white Muslims until Malcolm saw them himself in Mecca in 1964. However, the FBI files show that Malcolm was in July 1959 went to Egypt. Went to Egypt, Mecca, Iran, Syria, Ghana for the Elijah Muhammad. So how could Malcolm see white Muslims in 1964 but not in 1959 or 1952? Come on now. He was playing games. So the question then is, why did the enemy, and why does the enemy, continue to raise up the image of Malcolm? Not Malcolm. You can't raise him from the dead.
That's right.
But they raise up an image of Malcolm in their movies and put words in his mouth. Well, it's scriptural. It's scriptural. We go to Revelations 13th chapter, the 15th verse. It says, and he had power to give life unto the image of the beast. That the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. Now, who is the he who had the power to give life unto the image of the beast? See, we're used to believing that the beast of Revelations, whose number is 666, is the Antichrist. Oh, is it? Well, who is the one who raised up that image of the beast and put words in his mouth? Wouldn't he be a little bit higher, more powerful than the one he raised up? You see, that's the Pope. That's who the Honorable Elijah Muhammad says the Antichrist, the Pope. That's the he who rose up. They keep raising up Malcolm against us and put words in his mouth. Malcolm ain't the Antichrist.
That's
it's
right.
the one who rose him up.
That's right.
It's Antichrist. And because they keep raising him up, it's proving who they are.
That's right.
Scripturally, they are fulfilling the prophecy of raising up an image of the beast. So we call Malcolm a beast. We all act like beasts. We act like beasts. He was a beast when the Honorable Elijah Muhammad found him in the streets, in the prison. All right? So beast is just characteristics. So, and this beast was slain. But now, the dragon, he's the one who raises it up and put words in his mouth. So they keep doing this over and over. They did it in the movie in 1992. Now they're doing it again 28 years later. Next year, they're going to have Netflix doing it, Who Killed Malcolm X. And then also in the fall, they're going to have the second edition of The Godfather of Harlem. And then let me get into The Godfather of Harlem. Okay, number one. Every episode of The Godfather of Harlem, they have a disclaimer. And it says, while this story is inspired by actual persons and events, certain characters, characterizations, incidents, locations, and dialogue were fictionalized or invented for purposes of dramatization. In other words, we go lie. We tell you up front, we go lie, but you can't sue us because we told you we go lie. And so with Smalls, Professor James Smalls was asked by Malik Zulu how much of the Godfather of Harlem was true, since he's a consultant and he was living during that time. He was bodyguard for Malcolm's wife. He was a bodyguard for his sister. He's also bodyguard for Alan Clayton Powell. So he had served in those positions, and so they asked him, well, how much of this Godfather of Harlem is actually true? He said maybe 50%. 50%. That's 50-50. Now you see, The Grinch Who Stole Christmas. That's 100% fake. You can sit there, you can look at that and enjoy that. Okay? But when you got something that's 50-50, you can't look at it and enjoy it. Because you don't know which part is a lie and which part is true. It's 50-50. You know what I mean? That's some poisonous stuff to be put in your soul.
Yeah.
Part true, part false. This is just like reading the Bible. Elijah Muhammad said there's truth in it, but it's been tampered with.
Poison book.
It's been a poison book. Now it's poison when you drink it, when you take it down into your soul, because some of it's true and some of it's not. But which part is true and which part is not? You don't know.
Wow.
Okay? You set up. So this is what they're doing with this movie. Now, in The Godfather of Harlem, there's a 1:35 speech, supposedly, that Malcolm gave at Reverend Powell's church right after Bumpy got out of jail. So in 1963, supposedly, Malcolm spoke at Reverend Alan Clayton Powell's church, and it was Bumpy Johnson, supposedly, who made the arrangements. Now, when Alan Clayton Powell announces Malcolm X, and Malcolm comes to the stage. You can hear a mouse spit on cotton. There was no applause, nothing. And even when Malcolm began to talk, people were looking around like, who is this nigga? All right? And I'm going to tell you some of the things that he said as we go down here. But the point is, because we knew that this speech was supposedly at Reverend Allen Clayton Powell's church in 1963, we were able to find the actual audio tape taken of that speech on June 23rd of 1963 at Reverend Allen Clayton Powell's church. Now, when Malcolm was introduced by Powell, there was a thunderous applause. Not no, Whitney applause.
Right.
No. It was thunderous for 15 seconds when he was announced. And then he gave a 25-minute speech, and during which he was interrupted 23 times. In 25 minutes, he was interrupted 23 times by loud applause ranging from 8 to 26 seconds each time. Wow. However, in The Godfather of Harlem, there was never any applause. So we say, for all of those who say you love Malcolm, why would you look at The Godfather of Harlem when they're putting your man in that type of light? They're making you think that he was weak, he was unloved. But in fact, he was strong and loved and appreciated and applauded. They went buck wild behind Malcolm. So why would you show the people going buck wild behind Malcolm? You say you love Malcolm? Whoever did this damn movie got Malcolm looking like a chump. You love Malcolm? You gonna allow this? You keep looking at this mess? Okay, let's go ahead on. Now, Bumpy Johnson in the movie, The Godfather of Harlem, was given credit for reminding Malcolm of our teachings. Malcolm accredited a friend of mine reminded me. This is what he says. A friend of mine reminded me. Then he goes on. Wait a minute. No, the real speech, he says, Malcolm repeated that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us. He repeated that 29 times in 25 minutes. He didn't say anything in The Godfather of Harlem in that speech about the Honorable Elijah Muhammad.
Wow.
Instead, he said, a friend of mine reminded me. That's bullcrap. Malcolm repeated that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, quote, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us 29 times in 25 minutes.
Wow.
So you can always say, well, he left the nation. Okay, he left the nation, but then on that day, that very day, he was with the nation, and that very day, he was with the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Why did they take the Honorable Elijah Muhammad out of his mouth?
Come on now.
They rose up the image of Malcolm and put words in his mouth. That was not Malcolm. That was the image of Malcolm filled with the mind of Satan. I'll show you what I mean next. In the movie, it said Malcolm did not believe that a moral strategy would work in a system that was not moral. However, in the actual speech, Malcolm mentioned God 35 times in 25 minutes. But over here on The Godfather of Harlem, a moral strategy would not work, will not be successful in a system that is immoral. However, he mentioned God 35 times. He mentioned Jesus 5 times. And he mentioned separation as a solution 15 times.
Bang.
Now, not only did he mention Jesus 5 times, but he mentioned Jesus looking down the wheels of time and saw the Honorable Elijah Muhammad coming. And when he said the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, the people roared. Now, wait a minute. He's saying Jesus predicted the Honorable Elijah Muhammad to come to us. He's saying this in a black church, a black Christian church. Jesus. And yet they are accepting that Jesus predicted the Honorable Elijah Muhammad to come.
My God.
You damn Skippy, by God. But they took that out and give you this non-godly Malcolm. And then, as Malcolm is talking in the movie about if a dog attacks a black man, that man has a right to kill that dog, and any two-legged dog that sicked him on you. Wait a minute. Why would you go on a Sunday morning, as they show in this movie, to a black Christian church where they talk about turning the other cheek, and you talking about taking a gun and kill somebody because they sicked a dog on you? You gonna say something stupid like that in a black church on Sunday morning? Now, if you're on the street somewhere, or you at some rally, or you at some college, where you want to sound tough and black, but you don't say that in no church. He will be a fool. Malcolm will be a fool to go to a black church on Sunday morning talking about somebody killed somebody. In a black church? Come on now. Malcolm will never be that stupid. So you are not only you allowing Malcolm to not to believe in God, not only you telling that Malcolm was learning from Bumpy Johnson instead of Honorable Elijah Muhammad, you go sit there and say, let them say your man is that stupid that he would come to a black church on Sunday morning talking about killing somebody. Come on now. And then they lead you into Bumpy Johnson. Malcolm is still talking about if the government cannot protect us, you have a right to protect yourself by enemies necessary. So he's doing that, and then Bumpy Johnson's pulling out a switchblade to go into a room where, in my videos that I put out on the clip, I stopped the clip right there, even though Malcolm was still talking in the background. I cut it because when the door opened, what you see is a naked white man having sex with a black woman. And he goes in there with a switchblade and kills that white man. Now, in the real speech, Malcolm says that our weapon is not a knife, it's not a gun. It is naked truth. Islam teaches naked truth. So the writers in The Godfather of Harlem, they know about that speech, but they changed that naked truth into a naked white man. Because they knew about the speech, but they switched it over to some naked white man because they messing with you. I mean, they just playing you as a fool. But that's not the answer. And when the Honorable talks about, when the Malcolm says that the solution is complete separation from this race of devils, the people in a black church get up and start shouting for 26 seconds. Now, context. Down the street at another black church, there was a rally on June 23rd, 1965. Medgar Evers was killed June 12th, 1963. Medgar Evers was killed June 12th, 1963, and the rallies were June 23rd, 1963. Allen Clayton Powell had wanted the Honorable Elijah Muhammad to speak at his church, but the Honorable Elijah Muhammad sent Malcolm instead. Down the street, the NAACP was holding a rally, but that's where the Negro Uncle Toms were at. So Allen Clayton Powell wanted to do a counterbalance to that, and now you got agents who had both events. What did those agents take back to the government? That here's Malcolm at a black church talking about separation. Malcolm at a black church talking about Elijah's fulfillment of prophecy that Jesus put forth. And instead of the people looking at him like he's crazy or picking him up and throwing him out, instead they shouting with joy at Elijah Muhammad and Jesus together. Jesus precursoring Elijah Muhammad, and the Christians were loving it. That there let the government know they had to get rid of Malcolm because he was starting a real revolution, not with guns, but with their feet, to stop Medgar Evers. Why was he killed? He was killed because December, Christmas, before that June, he had established a boycott for Jackson, Mississippi that was powerful. And he was planning to do another boycott and try to go statewide in Mississippi. The boycott, the businesses at Christmas. So that's why they killed Medgar Evers. Okay? So he was messing with their money. So now the people are all in the uproar. And what does the Honorable Elijah Muhammad through Malcolm give to the people as a solution? Separation.
That's right.
Separation. That step. So they had to intercede and bust that bubble because they thought that Malcolm was a Messiah. So they interceded to kill Malcolm. Then when Martin Luther King met the Honorable Elijah Muhammad in 1966 and started talking different, they was afraid that he was going to start teaching the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, so they killed him. And Stokely Carmichael, he said he's going to take on the mantle of Malcolm X, and then they ran him out the country.
That's right.
Okay? It's these teachings that they don't want our people, because they don't want our people to separate from them. Right. Why? Because they're bloodsuckers. And you can't suck blood out of something that ain't there.
That's right. Praise be to Allah. The battery's about out now.
Battery's about out?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
let's change it.
Change out.
Yeah, cut it off.
All right. Okay. Dr. Ridgely, just to reemphasize, so many who feel like we're reopening wounds and this should be water on the bridge, why is this subject so important to you and the masses of our people?
Well, this goes back to what this world is afraid of and what the FBI was trying to prevent. Remember, they were trying to prevent the rise of a Messiah, someone who could unify and electrify the militant black nationalist movement so the white man can stay in power beyond his 6,000-year term limit. So this is the end of the white man's time, and he wants to slip through this 6,000 years, and if he knows if he can get rid of the Messiah, if he can kill the Messiah, then he can slip through, because then nobody would know who he is. And he can slip through this 6,000-year term limit. So this is why it's important for us. But if black people, some of us got a few little pie jobs, got a cool spot in hell, to steal one of your sayings, and they ain't trying to move. But there are other folks who are suffering. And so, yes, for the people who are suffering, the Nation of Islam is coming to save them out of that, to put them in a new world where they can have freedom, justice, and equality, and a decent economic life, and a decent spiritual and moral life. But the enemy don't want that to happen.
Good response. Our last question.
Yay!
Many people spoke out against Malcolm at that time. Why do you think everyone only focused on what Minister Farrakhan said and try to make him the reason when he was not the only one who spoke out against Malcolm?
Well, he's the only one who is physically and spiritually alive. And they fear the Messiah, not because of his personality, but because of the message in his mouth. And we know now what Minister Farrakhan, what his power is, his rod. Like Moses had a rod, well, Minister Farrakhan has a rod. That's his tongue.
That's right.
That's his voice. That is the captivating, hold you type of voice. And then when he is speaking the words of God that came in the person of Master Farad Muhammad and gave to Honorable Elijah Muhammad as a resurrection message that would resurrect the dead black God, the dead black nation. So whoever is the best deliverer and fulfiller of the message from Master Farad Muhammad as taught to us by the most honorable Elijah Muhammad will be targeted by the enemy by any and all means necessary. And now, to close it out, this is a new nation of Islam that can scientifically prove our teachings that the old nation of Islam could not prove in 1975 when the Honorable Elijah Muhammad departed. Wallace came in and said all of that was rubbish, and we threw it all away, including myself. But now, with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, along with his research team, which I am blessed to be a part of, we can prove those major parts of our teachings that we could not prove in 1975. Specifically, we can prove that white people were made to be an enemy to black people. We have the DNA evidence from the University of Chicago to prove that the white man was not here 25, 35, 45,000 years ago, that the mutation that to produce the white race started exactly 6,600 years ago, which we say Yaqub started the process on the island of Pelon, or what they call Patmos, 6,600 years ago. It took 600 years to produce a race of white people, and now their DNA research bears witness to that. So we got that point knocked out. He's a made man. Black people should separate from white people. We've had 50 years of integration. Okay? The Honorable Elijah Muhammad, even Malcolm, offered separation. Now, we had integration for 50 years now. And look at our condition. Worse than it was back then. So now, the only solution, and the most intelligent and best solution, is to separate from white people. Now that the Navy and Air Force are admitting they're seeing these baby planes around, so we say a great mother plane has been made to destroy God's enemies. Now, there's many people who've seen the big plane and a bunch of small planes. They've seen them. Everybody bears witness that something's up there, but now they're trying to say it's coming from outer space, coming from Mars or somewhere else. Well, we know the Honorable Elijah Muhammad told y'all in 1942 when he was in prison. When you picked him up, he told you who is on that plane that you saw in L.A., February 24th and 25th, 1942. It is Master Farad Muhammad on that plane. And that plane protects us. So we can build a world now that we couldn't with Tulsa, Oklahoma, because now we got, they drop bombs on us from their little kite planes. We got something that can take them out in 12 hours, wipe out the whole country of America in 12 hours if they attack us.
That's right.
The Messiah and Mahdi came in the person of Master Farad Muhammad. We couldn't prove that back then, but now we can. We can show you that he exists and that he has, his words has had the resurrecting effect of the Messiah and the Mahdi.
That's right.
Black people in America are God's chosen people. But now the history proves that the so-called Jews were never in bondage to the Egyptians, and we now know that we was in bondage for 400 years. Hidden years, 64 hidden years from 1555 to 1619, and from 1555 to 1955 with the gift of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad given Minister Louis Farrakhan as a Savior's Day gift. And now we at the 400 years of what they even say, of 1619. We at 2019 now. And we're seeing that they are still afraid of the rise of the Messiah. They are still afraid that somebody will get to God's chosen people, because they know that we are God's chosen people, and they are afraid for someone to get to us and to raise us up. So, all of these issues that I brought up, 1 through 5, has been addressed by Minister Farrakhan in his 58-week lecture series entitled "The Time and What Must Be Done." Right. As you see, I don't have a good tongue like the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, but I hope that even through my stammering and my stuttering, that you got enough to do you some studying. Assalamu alaikum, family.
Thank you, Dr. Ridgely. Once again, shout out to Malcolm Flex TV for allowing us this opportunity to put forth these questions and answers. You all are the research team with Dr. Wesley, Brother Nuri, all of y'all doing a fantastic job of defending our nation. Our nation is secure.
Thank all praise be to Allah, and I'm waiting to see this documentary when he puts it out. It's going to drive a nail. It's going to take it like a wooden peg and stick in the heart of Dracula.
Praise be to Allah.
Family.